everybody. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, and Iced Tea. I'm Dedra Stevenson, your hostess, and I've got some fantastic co-hosts with me that are the mostest. And they are Mr. B over here to the left of me, in my point of view. He is the producer of the show through his Free Talk with Mr. B series, which you should also listen to via podcast and watch via the YouTube channels. In fact, we are also available both ways through all forms of podcast platforms and YouTube afterwards. If you fancy seeing our faces while we do this podcast, that's the way to go. And there's Lene Pieters down there. Hi, Lene. Lene's
Hey,
a lovely
everybody.
editor, and she's a writer as well, and a fantastic artist. She's what I'm missing something, which is what's on the list.
Paralegal.
A paralegal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see, that's somebody you want in your corner all the time when you're doing book writing. Absolutely.
I
And
should
there's
charge.
you should. And there's Richard D down there, who's got so many of his fabulous books displayed behind his head, and he's got sci-fi. Sorry.
Thank you. Good evening.
Oh, you're most welcome, sir. You're most welcome. He's got the biggest imagination, and I'm looking forward to one of his books or one of my books, hopefully one day becoming movies and TV series. I think that we both got some potentials there, don't we?
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I recommend that you go and pick up his books right away, and hopefully some of mine as well. And speaking of books today, now, is reading a book the only way that one can enjoy a book? The answer is absolutely not. You can enjoy a book via audiobook. Now, you may not even realize what I'm talking about when I say audiobook. Now, I know everyone remembers the phrase books on tape, from maybe in the past, if you're like our age group. I mean, you do. If you're young, you don't even know what that, you probably think that's some term from the ancient past, that you have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's when we used to actually have books recorded, someone reading the book, and it was on a CD, which we actually put in our car and we listened to while we were driving. Now you don't even need the CD anymore. Now you can get a subscription through Amazon. There's Audible, which is a store on Amazon.com. You can Barnes and Nobles has a store as well. Nook Books, I believe it's called. And there's their Kobo audiobooks. And let's see, help me out, guys. Anybody else you can think of that's carrying major carriers?
Find Away Voices is another one.
Find Away Voices, that's right. Find Away Voices has got, I use them for producing my audiobooks. 4 of my titles are available via audiobook. All 3 of the Hakima's Tale books and Desert Magnolia are available via audiobook production. Oh, Spotify as well. Hello.
Oh,
They're
really?
also now, yes, they're also now available via Spotify. Could it be any easier? I mean, it literally couldn't be any easier to download an audiobook and listen to it at your leisure. Here, Lene and I are in a place that, like, we're in Dubai. Well, she's in Dubai. I'm in Ajman, which we're both in the Middle East, and the traffic is just terrible, like every single day. So we're stuck in the car for hours. Sometimes, you listen to music when you're bored in the car. Maybe you even listen to something like a lecture or religious, discussion. Sometimes I like to listen to the Quran, if I'm feeling like I need a little comfort in that regard. But sometimes you just want to catch up on your favorite book. I think that is an excellent way to use your time. It's a multitasking kind of thing, right? For those of us who don't always have time to read all these books that we fancy. You know, if you're a busy person at home, you're a mom, or you're busy at work, you may not have the time to sit down and do the wonderful action of curling up with a book with a nice cappuccino or a tea or something like that. Audiobooks are a great way to spend something time that you're normally doing something else, but you're also reading. How
Right.
fun is that? What are
Nice.
your thoughts on audiobooks, guys?
Yeah. It sounds amazing. I mean, I just heard you said it's on Spotify. This particular podcast is on Spotify,
Yes.
under Free Talk with Mr. B. So it'd have been really nice to put, the hitman and the, is it the thief?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
it.
could you imagine it would have been so easy to search that particular title instead of searching Free Talk with Mr. B. You
Yeah.
mean ICED on there. But we're on there, and so no, this is kind of inspirational now that I know it's on Spotify and some of the other places.
Absolutely.
But we multitask a lot, and sometimes I know I listen to my music in the car and put it out real loud, or if I want to learn a language, I would put it on in my ears more so I can go about my daily life. And so listening to a book might be just have some amazing idea. I can have my hands free and still do my laundry.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, other times maybe let's say you're waiting for an appointment and, let's say you're in a place that you're going to wait for an hour and you're so bored, you don't know what to do with your time. Why not put your AirPods on and listen to a book? I mean, it's a great way to spend your time and you don't feel like that time is like dead time that's just for nothing. At least you got some reading done, right? Yeah, I feel like that. And Richard's got a number of books of his own. How many of your books are on audiobook, Richard?
There's 7 at the moment, 7 novels. 2 of them are novels and sequels, and the others are just straight standalone novels. But I started listening to audiobooks a long time ago while I was out walking my dog around the cliffs and around the lanes around here. Because again, as you said, it was dead time and it was something else I could do. And then someone said to me, well, why don't you put your books as audiobooks? And when I started doing that, they're all on Audible at the moment. And I found it was such an easy process. And it didn't cost me anything to actually produce them on audio. And if someone gets to read them that wouldn't otherwise do so, then that's great. And of course, there's also the people who, for whatever reason, can't read. They're visually impaired, or there's some other problem.
Wonderful point.
It gives them something that they can do. Then they can then enjoy the book the same as anyone else can, given that they're not able to read it in the normal sort of way.
That's a wonderful point. See, that's another great advantage of audiobooks. It can actually assist the visually impaired. I mean, how, rather than going through what I imagine is a very difficult time finding books in Braille. Yeah. They can just simply download audiobooks or have one of their friends or relatives download it on, a device, a laptop or whatever, and just listen to a book being read to them. And also there's something kind of comforting about someone reading to you. Doesn't it kind of bring you back to being like a kid? Like your mom reading you a story, you're kind of get all snuggled up for story time. I mean, I don't know. I love it. I feel like there's a comfort to it. Unless, of course, you're listening to a murder mystery. Then you're like, oh, okay. The, the mom comfort just went out the door. What about now? Lene tells me that we're get ready for another point of view, because Lene here tells me that she is not really a fan of audiobooks. Interesting.
There are many reasons for that. There are many reasons. In South Africa, we only got television in the late 1978, and it was only on for a few hours a day. So we didn't have anything else to entertain us except the radio, and there was Story Hour. I would just listen to the radio as much as possible. The horror stories, the soaps, the serials, the kids' tales, whatever. And I would be doing my own thing, playing with my blocks or coloring in or whatever. I do have some sensory processing disorder. And for me, sitting there with nothing else going on, sitting quietly and having this terror forced upon me, or this rich imaginative world where I just want to participate in it, I discovered that I have a disconnect with it. So for me, if I want to enjoy a story, I need food, water, and to be left alone for a few days, because you're not getting me back until the book's done. I totally escape into a book, and I cannot focus on anything else. So with my day job, being a mom, having to drive around, focus on traffic, dealing with teenagers, all the school emails every day, everything else, I don't have dead time. So the bits that I do have, I want to be grubby and hold a paperback in my hands. I don't want to give that time up for anything and then just sit there with idle hands and start fidgeting. So I don't like audiobooks that much. And I've tried. I have tried. People have shared their audiobooks with me saying, what do you think? This one's amazing. And then I start listening to it, and it actually irritates me so much that I completely forget the story. So I guess I'm one of the outliers. But I don't know if other Gen Xers feel the same way, because after records and stories on vinyl went out, television started taking over. So people didn't have that much of audiobooks going on for quite a few years, I believe.
I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Did you ever make or thought of making an audiobook yourself?
My father's parents were both legally blind. It was an acquired blindness over their lifetimes. And I actually wanted to volunteer for Books for the Blind to Read back in the early 1990s in South Africa. And they tested my voice and said it was too high for comfort, which is quite interesting.
Wait, no. Hold on. The only reason I asked you that because her voice is like perfectly to listen to. Her voice is like, you can almost read anything important or technical or even storytelling or graphical. It's because I asked you that because of your voice. And
maybe it's gone lower over the decades. I don't know. I haven't been back to test it,
Some voices, your enunciations, your pronunciations, your tonality, everything is very easy to listen to. So even if you don't like it and to like to listen to it, you should consider offering that as another one of your services to create it.
Well, that's the one benefit of living in a country with 200 nationalities. My English changes depending on who I speak to.
Because the volume, the pausing, everything, I don't know if you guys have the same opinion, but I think, Lene, that you should consider offering your voice and self up to read other people's books, because it's perfect for I won't be distracted in the car going down the road listening to you at all.
I don't want people to fall asleep, okay? I don't want
and I don't get that. I don't know. Richard, what do you think? I don't get the sleepy part of it either. I mean, because you keep us interested, very much so.
Yeah, I have tried to narrate my own, and to be quite honest, I find my voice very irritating when I hear it back. I think I talk too fast.
Me too, actually.
When I get excited, I talk even faster. So I considered making them myself, and I tried a few times, but in the end, I had to admit defeat and search for someone that had the perfect voice to be one of the characters to narrate the story for me.
Right.
Well,
me too.
I want to say here, and this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I don't know if you've heard this, but Stephen Fry narrated one of J.K. Rowling's books many years ago, and he struggled over the word pocketed. Someone pocketed something, and he couldn't say this for such a long time that he actually asked if they could use another word, and she said no. And the way he narrates this in a couple of interviews is that every Harry Potter book thereafter specifically had the word pocketed in so that he had to say it. Which I think is such a sweet story.
It is a sweet story. I think that is one advantage of audiobooks, though, if I can say, is that it actually improves your pronunciation, perhaps, of words that you're not familiar with saying maybe on a daily basis. And also it helps improve your active listening skills. So there's also the cognitive benefit, of partaking in audiobooks from time to time. And if you do want to make a profile to be an audiobook reader, you can do so on audible.com. Find a Way Voices. You can actually create a profile and make a price and put yourself there, as someone available, to do this service through them. I think that would probably be the easiest way.
Yeah, because we like actual intelligence, not just artificial intelligence when it comes to that.
Yes,
So both are
exactly.
AI, but actual intelligence goes a long way. And with my
Right.
voice, I like my voice sometimes, but there's a saying I was told some time ago, you can get me out of the islands, but you can't get the islands out of me. So I start reading and people wonder, what island is he from? You
Now,
know?
I would love to do some voiceover work. I don't think I would be a good book reader, but I have often said, you guys are going to really love this. One of my dream jobs is to be a cartoon character.
Yeah,
So
it's very, very nice. Very
I
nice.
would love that job so much. So if anybody's recording an animated series and you need a cartoon character and you think I could lend the voice for it, please call me. Make my dream come true.
So this other question for Richard and Dedra, do I've listened to some podcasts before, quite a few of them, I guess, and I only had so much time to get to my destination, but I always wanted to hear their news story, and so the news story. I wanted to finish exactly when I got to this destination, and so I was able to double speed the
Yes, that is an
podcast. Is that
option.
also there too? Okay, so
Yes,
some
yes.
people can, if you're a fast listener, you can get the story really fast. Okay.
My son does that. He's a very fast listener, and again, thanks to God. I mean, his reading comprehension is phenomenal. So he speeds it up double speed and
Okay.
everything.
Great.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of my books, I had a review on Audible that complained the narrator was talking too slowly, and they actually said in the review that they played it at 1.25 times normal speed, and it was perfect. So yeah.
Okay.
Very
So yeah,
nice.
you never know, right? That actually may improve it to double speed it.
Yeah.
I used to transcribe all of my clients' work at double speed and type 120 words a minute, because normal speed, I would sit and wait for them to talk. So yeah, once your ear has been attuned to the high speed, you prefer to process information in that way. So
Yes.
bless this technology for people who can access it and modify. I mean, imagine if you went to a boring presentation on stage and you could fast forward the guy up there.
Fast forward over the boring bits. Yes.
I thought it was interesting because we can find what's wrong with some things, but we can also really spend time thinking about what's so awesome or what's right about it. And if we're so individualized and we can speed it up because we only had 20 minutes to cover 2 paragraphs or something, and we wanted to just get to the end, we can speed it up. And still, because many of us, our level of understanding what's being said to us at a higher speed means we can do that with a book sometime because we want the information. So really nice topic on audiobooks. I would like to do it one day and would like to be a cartoon character too, and also to be able and I'm trying to get Lene to join to read a book, because I think her voice is amazing. But how did you say that was? We can sign up somewhere? How are
Well,
tell our
Audible, there
listeners
is an
anyway?
option to become an audiobook reader on audible.com. You can actually become, there's 2 ways to use it. You can purchase books, you can have a membership where you actually choose a new book every month, from Audible to listen to. And there's also a narrator option. So just click on, become a narrator, and you can actually make a narrator's profile, and you put your previous experience, I mean, maybe a few clips of your voice so that people who are, like us, who are looking, for the perfect voice for our book. I mean, when I was looking for the Hakima's Tale, for example, I went through the narrators there and I listened to some of their clips, their sample clips, and I listened to their voice and I sent them an invitation to audition. And that's how it works, and I said, look, I've listened to your clip. I like your voice. And I gave them a sample of my book to read to me and send me the audio file. so that I could listen to them read some from my book and see how I thought they sounded. And I chose my reader like that. And Find Away Voices is the same, I imagine. I think so. It's just I haven't chosen one until now through there. Mine were also chosen via audible.com actually, but Find Away Voices is also an avenue. Actually, they charge a little more, per hour, and also you get paid then per finished hour. That's how it works. For example, my first Hakima's Tale book, The Revenge of the Blue Jenny, was 7 finished hours. So if I paid the narrator, say $50, per finished hour, that's how much they got paid, to produce my book. And you have the option of you are going to have to then re-record some chapters or fix some areas. You'll have to have audio editing skills, to provide an audio file for them, because there might be some pronunciations that they don't like. Like, say, my narrator was British, and he had sometimes trouble saying some Arabic words, like Humar. Oh my God. There was one, Humar.
Yeah.
Humar is donkey in Arabic. And he was like, Hamar, with his British accent. And it was hilarious. I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's just Hamar, roll your R, dude. So it was a bit of a sticky wicket there, to borrow a British phrase.
But I find it interesting. Before we started our session today, and before we wrap up, we were talking about everyone has a role, and there's role in every event, whether you're part of the stage or part of the audience. So in this case, if you're not a writer, you can be involved in the program by advertising your voice and your ability to speak and narrate and read. And for people who think could you imagine even retirees who have a wonderful voices? My grandmother probably died with her amazing voice, but people who are looking for other employment or other means of generating income or revenue, and wanted to do something different in their life, they can be an audiobook reader.
Absolutely. So it is an option for making money.
Yeah, so
and for those
really
people who find that natural. Yes, of course.
And interesting. I mean, I even think certain manuals and certain tech books, gosh, could you imagine if we were to get it on an audio too, so that we don't have to read through all of that techie stuff? It would be nice to listen to it.
Exactly.
Only if you had a search function. You don't want to start with a car manifold if you just asked a question about the indicators.
Right. And so this is the conversation is, I think it's going to help our audience, our listeners, because it opens an avenue for some thought pattern that we didn't think about. Could you imagine if someone wanted even to audio it in another language? There's so many opportunities. I thought when you brought up this topic, and it was very heartwarming that there's just more options for people, for our listeners.
Absolutely.
Well, I did look into it a few years ago because I found some interesting people on the internet, and the setup is not that expensive. Quite a few people sit in their closet with towels draped all around them, because the smaller the space, the better the sound quality, and they just buy decent quality microphone, and then they record it onto their laptops. So it's not a huge investment, but I would say, just do some search on the internet to find training for narrators, because there would be some guides about modulation, pauses, pronunciation, breath work. And here's the magic tip for writers. If you don't put that grammar in, your narrator is not going to be able to read a sentence that is a paragraph long. Because they have to breathe
now and then.
Bless the Oxford comma. It is a breather. Yes. The grammar speaks when the narrator does not speak. So if you take both into consideration when writing your novel, bear in mind, how would a narrator say that? And a lot of writers are now also saying, read your story out loud, or ask someone to read it out loud to you, so you can understand where your sentences need to be shaped better. And then you have a good product for a narrator to take over as well.
That's a good point. Oh, and can I just say one more final thing before we wrap? In terms of putting your books up on findawayvoices.com, which is what I use as my distributor. And I think Audible does too, as well, for Richard, right? You probably have a number of codes, of giveaway codes left, for your audiobooks, because there's there's a lot of us want to give away codes so that you can download those books for free, so that we can, in exchange for a review. Now, mind you, this is not totally free. We're asking you for a review in return. All right. So if there's anybody else out there listening or watching this, and you would like to try some of Richard's books or mine, we probably have loads of giveaway codes for you where you can actually get our audiobooks for absolutely no charge. But we do ask that you return that favor by dropping a review. Okay.
Great, very nice capture.
Absolutely. So I guess that's it then for this session of You, Me, and ICED. Don't forget to join us again next time for another fantastically juicy topic.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, not 1 week. Yes,
that's right.
yes.
And by the way, we miss Rodney. He's on a little hiatus from work. Well, not a hiatus from work, from us. A hiatus from us. He's actually at work, like, really, grinding things down, for more video game productions. But he is doing his business, and we miss him, but he's going to come back. Don't you guys worry. You'll see more of Rodney Harper.
Great.